And here we are, 1 year later, after a ton of research, a ton of trial and error, and now I'm ready to give my final verdict on the world's most popular drug. First of all, let me just say that quitting coffee is hard, because when you're quitting coffee, you're also letting go of most hot beverages, right? So if you go to a coffee shop, there's basically nothing you can really have, right? Except for water or herbal tea. You're also letting go of most sugary drinks. Like if you think about it, most sugary drinks, we're actually consuming them because they have caffeine, not because of the sugar, but because of the caffeine. A lot of people are addicted to Coca-Cola. Not that many people are addicted to, lemonade or something like that, or apple juice. It's usually the caffeinated beverages that gets to us. And now that we're refusing caffeine, we're also refusing a lot of sugary drinks, even something like chocolate flavored protein powder or many of the electrolyte brands. And you have other chemicals such as the MAOIs, which are very similar in effect to antidepressants. And you find that especially in hot brewed coffee, as well as nicotine. That's where you find the highest concentrations of this. You're also letting go of things like L-theanine, which is found in matcha, which is this mellow and relaxing kind of chemical that can kind of even out the so-called energy from caffeine, so it's more evenly distributed throughout the whole day. And you're also letting go of theobromine, which is found in chocolate, which also has similar effects to L-theanine, which also has these relaxing effects. When you're in that detoxing phase, you have to be 100% clean, because even a small amount of chocolate will actually negatively impact your sleep and your anxiety levels. When it comes to caffeine, it really comes down to these 3 or 5 areas. And if you understand these areas, you will no longer need caffeine at all, okay? So, the number one and the biggest one, and also the biggest reason why people drink caffeine, is because it gives you a delusional sense of purpose. So most studies suggest that caffeine peaks at around 1 hour. This means that you get a 1 hour window into what it would be like to be that purpose-driven, hyper-focused, high achiever version of yourself in whatever area it may be. You don't have to be a success bro necessarily. It could be that you're just looking to improve the relationships in your life or something like that, something more wholesome, so to say. But in other words, you get to feel what you should be feeling. And another thing when it comes to this delusional sense of purpose is how you feel about your work has very little to do with the quality of your reality, and there's how you feel about reality. And what caffeine does is it changes how you feel about reality, and then you might be fooled to think that like, hey, maybe I did do my best work right now. No, you felt like you did your best work. You might think like, oh, whatever, like sometimes you feel good, sometimes you feel bad, life is the way, whatever. It's way more than that. Because if you wake up in the morning and you feel like, crap, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do some work now. I'm gonna, be productive or something. And you feel kind of crappy, and everyone is praising you and saying like, wow, that's really amazing. How did you come up with this idea? That's so cool. Wow, that's, such a great outfit you chose for the day, whatever it may be. And you're like, I don't understand why. I don't feel good about myself. Why am I getting all this praise? Like, it doesn't make sense. And then later in the day, 10 cups of coffees in, you're feeling like you're doing your life's work, but suddenly no one cares. You're doubting your own ability to judge reality. You no longer know what is a good idea anymore because stimulants have messed up your judgment completely. The second one is anxiety. Okay, so some call it a feeling of urgency, others call it a kick in the butt, but regardless of what you call it, it's cortisol and it's adrenaline. So clinically defined, you're experiencing anxiety. When you have that feeling of, oh, it's time to look at the clock, and then you're like, oh, it's time to get to work, and then you start working and like, oh, what is my boss thinking, and I have to deliver this on time. All these thoughts are really just manifestation of the cortisol and the adrenaline kicking in. These are not your real thoughts. This is just anxiety pushing you, and you're using force. Essentially, you're using self-punishment in a way to get the work done, or to get you out of the door, or to make you take action towards something that you might not even like doing in the first place. So, and again, does anxiety have a time and a place in our lives? If, you know, we're really stuck in a certain paradigm, a little bit of anxiety can really get us out the door. It can make us clean the house. It can really make us change things. But do you want to rely on it every single day? Do you want to punish yourself essentially and your nervous system every single day to function as a human being? Of course not. So, and when I think about it, there's not a single area in life where anxiety is beneficial to us. If we're talking performance, it's way better to be calm. If we're talking, performance in work, it's better to be calm, because then you can have more creative ideas. You can think more clearly about things. You can see the bigger picture. When you're anxious, you become very narrow-minded, very focused. If we're talking about high-risk situations, when I'm thinking on my life and the times where I've been in high-risk situations, whether it was, me testing myself in the natural environment or like with animals or something like that, it's always been very, very calm in those moments. It's never like, oh wow, what's going on, and you're full of fear. No, you're really calm and almost apathetic in a way to the whole situation. So, and anxiety in terms of relationships, you're immediately repulsed by anyone who's anxious, anyone who's fearful. In nature, that's just a plain bad thing. Go up to a dog and exert that anxious energy, and he's gonna bite you, because he's gonna be like, what's going on? I don't want that creature near me. Horses, another good example. You have to be really calm when you go up to a horse. You have to, be slow in your movement. You have to be calm. And if you're anxious, if you're fearful, so just think about it. We're not that much different from these animals when it comes to these immediate instinctual judgments of our reality. So when we have a presentation and we are pitching in front of stakeholders about a big idea or something, and we are anxious and we have that fearful energy, well, guess what? They're going to be repulsed by us. Their inner dialogue is going to tell them, stay away from that person. That's bad news. You don't want anxiety. Stay away from anxious people. You don't want bad luck. Stay away from unlucky people. Ritual. That's the third thing, right? So people need rituals in this world. And the reason for that is, I believe, that life is a bit uncertain. You wake up with a different mood every single day. The people around you have different moods every single day. The people think different things of you every single day. So everything is a bit unstable. You don't really know what you're going into. You don't know what this world is going to bring, what's going to happen. However, what is going to comfort us in this whole storm is like this little rock, which is our ritual, right? So we can hold on to this little rock for 10 years, for 20 years, and while the world is changing all around us, this little rock just stays there. And I mean, I could go very deep into the whole philosophical, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to tell you, find a healthier ritual instead. Now, what about you taking a shower every day? Why is that not enough? Or have a glass of water. Look, ritual, water, nice. Now it can work. Like you can make these rules up yourself, and you can choose something healthy. And why wouldn't you do that? The fourth one, and this is very big, it's even listed as one of the 5 biggest reasons according to this article right here, which is called "Why Do You Drink Caffeine? The Development of the Motives for Caffeine Consumption Questionnaire and its Relationship with Gender, Age, and so on," from 2017. And in this article, we have this table here with all the different reasons why people self-report that they consume caffeine. And to save you the trouble of going through all these different statements, I'm just going to say that it boils down to these 5 different categories. And one of them is symptom management. Okay, so symptom management is just another word for withdrawal alleviation. Okay, so we already covered this in previous videos. There is a reason why headache pills have caffeine added to them. It's because most headaches come from dehydration. The second most cause is actually just caffeine withdrawal or other drug withdrawal. And what drugs do people consume? It's caffeine. So chances are, if you have a headache, it's because you just forgot to drink your daily cup of coffee for a couple of days. Social is also listed here as one of the 5 biggest categories for why people consume caffeine. And to this, I'm just gonna put it very simply. It's gonna actually make your life better when you don't consume caffeine, even in social settings. So if I'm going out to a social setting right now, it's actually a really good conversation starter. Like, people are always curious when they find out, like, why don't you consume caffeine? And then, hey, we have something to talk about. So quite ironically, if you go and you meet someone for a date or a business meeting in a coffee shop and you don't drink caffeine, you actually have more to talk about than if you were to share a cup of coffee. And the next reason, and the biggest according to another recent study that just came out, is taste. Like, people report, I believe there was like 90% of people in India reported in a questionnaire that taste was the main reason for them drinking caffeine. Again, I can like go into depth with this and the different reasons as to why, but let me just say 2 things to that. First of all, it doesn't really tell us anything that you say that you do something for the taste. It's like a finger pointing at itself, or, you know, saying that something is good just because it's good, or saying that like the color is green because the color is green. Like, it doesn't say anything. It just says nothing. It just says that you're too lazy to actually investigate the real reasons for consuming it. But an interesting insight that I found here is that from this study that was made by a university in Denmark, they found that when people were tested after drinking coffee, they became more sensitive to sweetness and less sensitive to bitterness. It's pretty obvious that the body is just adapting. And I found this on my own, on my own body when I stopped drinking coffee for a year. So not after 3 months. After 3 months is quite interesting, because coffee can just, re-trigger all these euphoric states, and it feels like you're taking a hallucinogenics or something if you're consuming caffeine after 2 or 3 months of abstinence. But if you consume or try coffee after a year, you feel like a kid again. You feel like you taste it the same way a kid would taste coffee for the first time. It feels bitter. It feels like something your body is resisting and really, really, really doesn't want you to do. And it just tastes so bad that you lose all interest in consuming caffeine. It doesn't taste good. It tastes awful, and it's just like one of those justifications we use, right? So, because people say the same thing about tobacco. They say like, oh, you just haven't tried the right tobacco leaf. And alcohol is the same. It's like all these stupid stories, and like, oh, do you taste old man's leather belt in that gin? Like, it's just like these fantasies, these stories, and it's just so lame and pathetic, honestly. At least discover the real reason. At least say, hey, I'm just alleviating my symptoms here. I have a headache. I feel awful because I'm addicted to this. That's why I'm drinking it. And don't just, make up these fantasies, because you will get lost in them, and you can spend years, and you will end up buying, all the different merch that is associated to, slow drip coffee, and you will have increasingly more expensive coffee machines at home, and it will just become a part of your identity eventually. You will be like the person who just talks about coffee at parties, and don't become that person. Just stop drinking coffee. I know it's difficult, but it's definitely worth it. I could say so many things that have changed in my life. My sleep is still amazing. I still sleep very, very good. I'm still very grateful for my sleep. I can now get away with sleeping less. You have so much more REM sleep. You have so much more vivid dreams, which is so interesting, and it teaches you so much about yourself and about your dreams, and about like your avoidances in life, and about your past, and how it's all connected to who you are today. It's like dreams is like this gateway into our subconscious minds that we have you know, so much more access to when we have that REM sleep. Energy levels, you know, like that's so relieving to just know that at any time of the day I'm just energetic. I don't need to, you know, plan my whole day accordingly so that all my meetings are lined up one after the other, so that this one cup of coffee in the morning is, you know, shooting me off to a great start for these meetings, and then I can put up a great front, and then I can be a dead vegetable the rest of the day, because who cares? No one sees that, right? Now I'm the same way from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. Obviously you wake up maybe a bit more slow. You don't have like that complete like crazy urgency to just work, and you're like all fidgeting because of the caffeine. No, you're more centered, more clear. All right guys, that's it. Thanks for watching.